Hello and welcome back to the Redhedge Podcast. Today I'm here with Roberto Costa for a talk about real economy. So what is the experience of a restaurant owner, of a chain of restaurants owner, and what is the challenging that we've seen in a real economy now compared to what is for the financial market expectation? Ciao Roberto, and thank you for...
Ciao Andrea, thank you very much really to invite me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. So Il Macellaio, for the one they are based in London, everyone knows Macellaio South Kensington. At least for me, that is where I used to live, at least for a good part of my London journey. And what I wanted to understand and to ask as a first question, how did you come up with the name, and what is the story of the Macellaio South Kensington? Was it the first one?
Yeah, it was the first one. It's a long, short story because my grandfather was a butcher and my mom was, as many Italians people, my mom was a really good cook. So I mixed up these kind of things and I opened the first restaurant, the same concept of Macellaio, like 24 years ago in Genova. And then I wanted to prove the same concept in a metropolitan city about 12 years ago, and there was the Olympic Games here. So I found the place in Old Brompton Road in South Kensington, and I just opened the restaurants there to prove the concept. And it's been a beautiful journey.
What was the main challenge when you started in London? First of all, did you used to live in London before, or?
Never. I've been in London twice as a tourist. I didn't speak one word, not even now, but a little bit better. And was like, sometimes you don't have to think a lot to do something, if you've got your instinct. And at that time, I remember I came in London just to follow 2-week startup, just to set up the kitchen and the chefs, because, of course, I didn't speak English. And then I fell in love with London because I saw and I felt the meritocracy at that time. That was unbelievable. Just was a big push for myself to work even better, to put all of my experience on the table and grow with some different experience here in London. And it's been great.
That's amazing. I think the key of London and what attracted me, and we are in completely different sectors, but is the meritocracy is the key word, because I think Italy, where we both from, is a less meritocratic country compared to many. But this is particularly different, and I think is a key. The London has probably lost, but I may ask you this question in your field a bit right now. What do you think? Is it still the same after?
No, not at all. Much more than a bit, probably. But for me, London is completely changed. It's not just a little bit in our hospitality business, because, as I said before, at the beginning was all about meritocracy. So people could grow really fast, like me, for example, or fail in just a few months. And that's why, because, there was a lot of people that wanted to stay in London, about the language, about the vibes in London. But after Brexit and COVID, month by month, year by year, it's changed. It's changed. But believe me, I think that even now, that is completely different than before, can teach us something. Because it's a beautiful city. It's a kind of melting pot, unique melting pot. It's just exactly, in my opinion, of course, in the middle of Europe and US. You've got the culture, the historical country, the architecture, the enogastronomic expression in a vertical way that it's really, really important to learn, because you go, the Indian cuisine, for example, in Camden Town, where you can have street food in 10 minutes, and then you can go in Mayfair and have a 3 Michelin star experience with the Indian cuisine. So for me, it's been a kind of, inspiration. And I think even now that is different. It's like, we've been a little bit too spoiled probably before. Now we are a little just, we put our feet on the floor. Now we have to see and be and do all of our best about the experience that we had in the last 12 years at least.
Interesting. Maybe going back to my original question, is the main challenge then you think was the language when you came in, perhaps to open the first restaurant? Was it because I feel like opening a restaurant in London is easier than opening a restaurant in Milan, for example. Is it correct or not? In
About-
terms of paperwork,
Yeah,
I mean,
about
like
bureaucracy,
filing. Yeah.
110%. It's like easy.
So that wasn't a challenge at
Not at
beginning.
all.
So it was relatively easy to be.
Yeah, but believe me, even the language at that time, it wasn't so difficult, unfortunately, and that's why I didn't learn fast the English language, because, as an Italian restaurateur in South Kensington, that 12 years ago was a kind of European,
Hub.
like a lot of Italians, a lot of French, we used to speak Italian, to tell you the truth, because our team was absolutely all Italian guys, and most of the clientele was Italian. So it wasn't that challenging. The real challenge was to understand the competition, because if you want to grow, you have to compete. And London is beautiful because you've got great competitor, many more restaurants better than you. So if you want to stay there, if you want to grow, you have to prove yourself to can do it. That was the biggest challenge, probably.
That is very true. Competition makes you better, and so I mean I know these trends of in Macellaio. The product I think is one of them, and the services. The services is I think as a customer I believe it is obviously comes across. But what do you think has been the weakness then? If the strength, or unless you recognize different kind of strengths of, I mean, I'm referring to the Macellaio South Kensington just as a obviously we go then through the others, but the idea is what do you think has been your biggest strength and the biggest weakness through the
Exactly the same. So my biggest strength was the team and the product, with the producer, of course, behind us, and the worst weakness was the same, because after Brexit and COVID, we couldn't immediately buy anymore some product from the same producers, and we lost a lot of people, because a lot of people, because because it's important to the timing about things. So in UK there was COVID and Brexit at the same time. So
yes,
the only country in the world to have two big
catalysts.
was not just COVID or Brexit, that I think that we could deal with. Was like nitro and glycerina, was like a bomb, So that's why, because, at the beginning COVID, people almost enjoy to stay at home for the first few months, but then they left because, of course, families start to call them and stuff like that. So, and they didn't care about the settlement status. And after COVID, there was the Brexit, so they couldn't come back, and they didn't want to come back, to tell you the truth. So we left a lot of people. So in the last year, I had to cut 3 restaurants in total. So we remain with 3 restaurants plus the kitchen production. Just I call these kind of things a kind of bonsai operations, just to cut and remain with the better one to grow again. But right now we need to calm down, just maximize what we've got and restart.
That actually is a good because so the journey was one South Kensington, and then when did you open the rest of the restaurant? How many years gap between each other?
I bought, because I opened at South Kensington in 2012 with my business partners, and then I bought from him the restaurants in 2014, 2 years later. Start from 2014 to 2018, I've opened 6 restaurants in London.
So very quick.
Very quick, too quick probably.
Okay, so that one mistake in temperature, looking away from the bottom down, bottom up of one restaurant, the bigger picture is the speed, keeping up with everything.
Yeah, and we've been lucky because with 6 restaurants, our numbers were really good because we had overall an EBITDA of 18 to 20%. And you have to include inside, the opening, because every year we open the restaurants without any debt, just, with the cash flow, and was pretty good as a numbers. But after COVID and Brexit, everything changed, even because some locations that we had, they completely changed because there was no any more people, there was no people in the office, no tourism, so was changed. And my mistake was to don't understand immediately this kind of problem. So to wait, because it was really good at the beginning. Then I made a deal to open our flagship right now that is in Soho, the biggest one. And I was really, really, I felt really charged after COVID because I was thinking with the 6 restaurants that we had plus Soho, will be amazing because we passed through the COVID, the Brexit and everything, and now will be everything will be easier. It wasn't. And I learned a lot in the last 3 years, a lot. The average spending is different, with all the problem that we've got right now all around the world, but especially in UK, the inflation, the interest rates, this kind of stuff that at least people have to decide at the end of the week what to do. If they can go out, where they can go out, if they have, buy something for the children or stuff like that. So you have to restructure your menu, your idea. You have to do, it's a kind of engineering the menu in a different way because the average spending have to be cheaper than before in a way, but with the same great products. So it's not easy. It's not mental, but it's not easy. But you have to do it.
This is very interesting because from what we do, looking at real example of real economy, real business, and understanding that obviously we maybe don't see it so much from where we sit, where from a perspective like yours, it's very clear that the inflation and the overall situation has caused a difference in spending and selection in spending, and so the adaptation and a speed to adapt is key for sustainability of a business. And definitely, you mentioned before about the people that left through COVID, never came back, settlement status. I have many friends that did in the hospitality business the exact mistakes, people that I know well. And we, and I know that you have received, just connected to this dot, a very important, how do we call it in English? Knighthood? How do you say it in English? The Cavaliere del Lavoro.
It's a kind of knight.
Nice Italian. I know my
Italian
grandfather
knight.
was a knighted. The same is something that is very respected in Italy, and it's very an honor to receive. And I think you are very proud. But can you explain us why you be knighted
Yeah.
from the Italian?
Yeah, it's been probably
government?
the best award in my life, with no doubt, because I came from a really humble family, proud of, and I'm a waiter. To tell you the truth, I've been just lucky to have many restaurants and to be lucky to have success and succeed this kind of entrepreneur journey. But I'm a waiter at the end of the day, so and I really like to do it and to be the waiter. So with this kind of knowledge to achieve the knights, the Cavaliere della Stella d'Italia, from the Italian president of our country, Mattarella, was like, wow, unbelievable. And I achieved this kind of awards because during the last 12 years in London, I work with more than 1,000 employees, Italian employees. I work only with Italian producers. About business, I bought a lot in sense of money, in sense of work in Italy, and I always been a kind of Italian ambassador. I always talk with the consular, for example, with Domenico Bellantone, that is a great man, to say that Italian restaurants abroad have to be a kind of little embassies, because people go there and they have to feel the Italian way, the Italian vibes, because before at the beginning you said about the atmosphere is the most important thing, even more about than food and than wine and beverage. You know why? You know why? Because if you decide to go out for a dinner or lunch, you have to eat well. So it's normal. It's nothing special to go in a restaurant and eat well. You have to. That's it.
It's mandatory.
You know, it's like, of course, but the memories are the difference. You know, when you eat something that reminds you something else, when you eat something or try or smell something that you can jump back of 20, 25 years, remind you your grandmother or grandfather or whatever. That's the key. It's all about memories. And memories, it's all about history, culture, atmosphere, vibes, this kind of stuff. And I think is another level.
I cannot agree more. I mean, when you go out for a restaurant, you go out for the experience, and it depending, what your background is. Like for me, an Italian restaurant, and it's so true. It is a place where I want to feel at home, and I want to be reminded of childhood experience. And in your restaurant, I don't remember how you call it because it's from your part of Italy, not mine. The panna fritta, the what is
Like
it?
milk fried.
Milk fried.
Milk
That
fried.
is one of the classic
Yeah.
one that it passes you a message. You can tell as a message that will represent your childhood that you giving to us and in a way as a memory, and that builds upon the experience. Even if it wasn't part of my experience, he gives you a feeling, and you can see from the way that everyone that works in the business presented to you, he presented to something special to you, and this is the message that I like to receive, the experience I like to do and I think I wouldn't emphasize this enough in any business, not just in hospitality. You need to have a good journey when you do something.
Absolutely agree.
So that is very, very interesting, and I guess natural to ask after so many people employed and turnover, which I guess in hospitality is higher than any other business.
Unbelievable.
What is the main challenge in managing people? Like it is what, if you have to?
But I think, I really believe that, to succeed, there are 6 things very, very important. Motivation, 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 training, training, training. Because you cannot motivate anybody without any training. And when you train them, you really motivate them. So these two makes the difference because, myself motivated can work 10,000 times better than myself with no motivation at all. That's the key, to motivate people. Because, as a waiter, believe me, if you think about 2 years ago after COVID, in Italy, the PIL, PIL, was, was positive thanks to the hospitality sector. Like hospitality means hotels, resorts, restaurants, bar, whatever. And think about it. The half, 20 centimeters, are made from a waiter. There is a huge responsibility. In this kind of harm with the plate to give the dish on the table, you have to think about the country, the biodiversity, the tradition, the entrepreneur, colleagues, and their self. It's all here. So it's so important to train them, to let them understand, because you talked about the milk fried milk. And fried milk is an expression or is reflection about tradition. Tradition is all about biodiversity. Biodiversity is different country by country, about winds, about mountain, countryside, seaside, different kind of sea. It's like, wow, it's something, It's like, I don't know, Van Gogh or
It's
whatever.
amazing.
It's like when you don't understand, when you don't know why, but you stare at, the paint for hours and you don't even know, just because it's beautiful. And food is like this, in my opinion.
Part of art. I absolutely agree. That is very interesting, and I love the image of the last 20 centimeter, the last inch of delivering the message is down to the person that you have customer service, and so that's why people are so important, especially the one facing the client, because they are the ultimate delivering the whole experience, the whole concept in any business again to the customer. And so that is the almost the as important as the CEO view it is to be delivering the view in the right way, passing through the message through the final experience of the customer, which I think is a great image to see. And I never thought about that before, and it is actually can be used as image in the business model, which is in the end what we're trying to do, which is amazing. And I guess what is the future? Because obviously you said you're going from 6 to 3. I love the idea of to get something better, you need to cut some sleeves out and improve and learn from weaknesses and mistakes, which we all make, and we otherwise we couldn't grow properly. And so a bit less, more diversification. I know that you have a bit different concept in some of your restaurants now.
Yeah, absolutely. But, now it's time to study, to be ready, because I think, COVID and Brexit just make things faster. But there was already a little revolution, about hospitality, because if you think about restaurants, for 150 years has always been the same. Osteria, trattoria, pizzeria, ristorante, whatever, but was always the same. Open a door and then the service, lunchtime, dinner time, 6 days per week, blah, 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 the same things, and it was old. People, right now, everything is changing, it's like you have to understand where you have to go, just a step back, study, and then be ready to go back. That's the things that I'm doing right now.
That is interesting. I think the key for a business is always, or for any investment, is diversification. So have different, what you call study, I think, is try different things, which makes you diversified. Not all of them will work as well, but the fact that you're not just betting on one thing, on one investment that will be provides higher chances to succeed overall. So you see again in any business, diversification, it is the key. So have a diversified risk exposure to your, and I guess the challenge again could be the people, because now it's tougher to hire. I mean, it is for our business, it is for any other business out there. I guess this remains the biggest challenge. People right now post-Brexit in the UK.
Yes, and is, in my opinion, understand. It's like I cannot understand, because we are seeing a future that there was probably in 15, 20 years, there will be 40% less employment about, in general, and new generation knows, but they go social or they go, virtual things. That it's fine, absolutely fine, but we are losing a lot of things, the basic stuff. But probably I'm old style, so for me, it's like go a step forward and then to step back, because I really need to understand. And when you say before, to diversify is absolutely true. But if I have to think about hospitality, I'm really studying, because, for example, I make you some examples. The average spending right now, it's really important, In an average, like the medium range, it's really important. People are really sensitive about that. And you have to understand what you can offer with this kind of average spending. How many people you have to do to give them a kind of service that you really want to do. Is right, is not right. How many employees do you have to hire to do that? How many different strategies you can have to have a beautiful, a great dish on the table, because technology helped us about quality as well, So this kind of stuff, to understand better, in my opinion, of course, the hospitality sector in the next future.
which I think is all about. We have a price range, which is the spending, which the spending appetite. So the idea, someone that sits at the table has an appetite to spending up to this amount of money. What is the best I can deliver, and what can I compromise with this kind of amount of money? So obviously there would be the quality of the food, the quality of the service, or other things which do not compromise. Product and service can be compromised to have the same results. So basically, location, furnitures. There is some other things can be compromised, or do you have a different vision? How do you obtain? What is the recipe to have the best of all?
But you know, it's funny. I answer in a different way. Like I had lunch time before, like 1 hour ago, in a place. I don't want to say which place, but in a place, cheap place, just to eat really fast, with a lot of salmon. Almost everybody knows what is the intensive farms of salmon. It's like unbelievable. It's like for one cube water are like 100 salmon. So 3 days before, I don't want to talk about salmon because it's disgusting. But anyway, everybody knows. Everybody eaten salmon before. Everybody with the salmon and the phone like this. They know, I know what is, I have eaten salmon as well. So people right now are like, you know, we talk about wars, but it's like probably with 2 nuclear bombs, we can destroy the entire world. And we built 70,000 nuclear bombs. We're stupid, completely stupid in my opinion. You know, this kind of stuff, I'm sorry, I don't want to go out of the sense of your answer, but question, but it's like really difficult to understand. It's like I really believe that food right now, it's like during lunchtime is not anymore like before. It's more like to eat something, but I have to be faster. Dinner time is a different kind of experience. You've got different section, different people to enjoy different stuff, and we need to understand really well to go out with new concept. You know, even Macellaio right now is not anymore like before. Macellaio, we are changing menu because of course we've got a history of 12 years, so we know the bestseller, the cow seller, all this kind of stuff. But even in the last 2 years, everything has changed. So the average spending, the quality of the meat is like we are changing. And you know, and you can complain, but you have to embrace the challenge and change with him. It's the only thing to do.
Well, we're gonna stay tuned and see what the evolution will be.
Absolutely.
And thank you very much for taking the time to come here and participate to this little chat. And we're looking forward to speaking with you again here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.